Are we ready? How's everybody doing? Hey guys, I'm Mr. Poseidon. Welcome to the show tonight. It's going to be a good one. Tonight we got on as guest Rich from Fishaholic Fishing. I know many of you know him from YouTube, his starter days in Montauk, fishing for the striped bass. I joined him when he was at about 15,000 subscribers. Rich, I don't know if you're there yet, but you're slowly approaching 200,000 subscriber. In my world, that is a milestone I'll never reach, but you are the man. You've always been the man fishing. I followed you in your younger days when you were fishing the Rhode Island, Massachusetts areas. When you first started out your YouTube channel, I know you were going to college back then. But yeah, we got Rich on today. And first off, foremost, I would like to say hello to the subscribers. So this, in turn, requires glasses that I just got this week. These are, what are these, Oakley's? Oakley's reading glasses. Yeah, I'm really cool, man. Anyway, so let's start off. You want to put up that chart for me, honey? Yeah. There you go. So let's start saying hello to quite a few people here. We got, okay, that's good enough. Chris Gannon, how you doing? You're always out there. Thank you, Chris. My friend Chris, who's in Florida, also grew up with him. I think we fished once together. After he didn't catch any fish, he beat me up, and I never took him fishing with me again. But let's keep going. Joe Pinto, what's up? Agonizer, that's Tony. I got your lures, Tony. Beautiful stuff. I made a little post. Jay Falco, how you doing? That's Falco Lures. Can't wait to use your stuff that you sent me. It's going to be a good season this year. My leg is definitely getting better. I'm on the mend. I'm able to walk around now. I don't even have to hold the railing anymore when I go up and down the stairs. Let's say a quick hello to the wife. Honey, how are you?
Hi everybody.
How you doing? What's that white stuff on your eyes? She told me, she goes, the glue hasn't dried yet. Don't show me. It's going to show the white. So I had to break her chops on that one.
Just out of wardrobe and makeup.
Yeah, Ed Point, what's up? Danny Morales, my man. We went out a few weeks ago. For those of you guys that don't know, that's Brooklyn Pier surf fishing. Danny Morales held a nice little dinner out at the, what was it called? The Wits End, right?
Wits End.
That was the Wits End in Rockaway. What a time we had that night. I don't even remember still how I got home, but I got home. Right, honey? I did get home?
Because you had a nice ride home.
Yeah, that's right, I did. My wife came and picked me up. You had to tell him that part. Greg Pinellas, how you doing? James Flynn, who else do we got there? Carl Newman.
Got a lot of people.
Jay Ferruio. Who else? Kerry Amaducci. How you doing, Kerry? Nice to see you. Carrie, Ocean State Bass Fishing, Mike Napster, Striper Hunter, SK, Century Aquarians, right? Did I say that right, hon?
Centaur Equestrian.
There you go. I love my wife when it comes to pronouncing words the correct way. Connor McGay, how you doing? Danny Morales, we know you're out there. How you doing? Turtle Cove Tackle. I put on your shirt. I bought a smaller shirt from you, Turtle Cove medium, and it's been washed quite a few times, so I have to order another one from you. I have to get a larger size because it didn't look good on me tonight, right?
You're a growing boy.
Yeah, I'm a growing boy. There you go. All right, guys, let's get started. Let's get over to Rich right now. Introduce him. Let's have a nice warm welcome for Rich, Fishaholic.
Hey, there he is. Hey, Rich.
How you doing, Rich?
I'm good. How you guys all doing?
Fantastic, brother. I'm glad to see you on the show tonight. This is your second time here on the show. You're going to break the Saturday Night Live record, I hope. You know, I think, what is there, 9 times by Steve Martin or something like that? I'm not saying you're Steve Martin. I'm just saying that you're a better fisherman than Steve Martin any day. But anyway, glad to see you on the show, buddy. I'm glad to see you. What's been going on lately?
Well, for those of you that don't know, I live down here in Florida now, like Stewart, Palm City area, and I've been doing a lot of snook fishing, jack crevalle fishing, inshore, getting offshore a little bit for wahoo, trying to get my first sailfish, and that hasn't happened yet. Did hook into a big wahoo a couple weeks ago, but lost it, and got into some nice amberjacks up into like the 30-pound class just this week on Wednesday, or last week Wednesday. So that was cool. Yeah, they'll put your tackle to the test and your body. Amberjacks will break you, or try to.
Hey,
Even
Rich,
smaller ones.
you just mentioned sailfish, and I'm just going to jump right into this quickly. Now, when you're fishing for sailfish, obviously you're on a boat. You're on your boat, I guess. Am I right?
Yeah, that's my goal, is to try and get my first sailfish from my boat, and I'm the kind of fisherman that no matter where I've fished up and down the coast of the United States, or I fish in other countries now as well, is I like to try and like figure it out on my own steam, whether that is reading books, watching videos, reading articles online, and researching that way. And I do have quite a bit of offshore experience from fishing on a charter boat out of Montauk for like 10 years. But we only caught white marlin, which they're kind of close to sailfish, but a little different. And, caught a lot of tuna up there, and mahi-mahi and stuff like that. But, there's definitely just a lot more different pelagic fish species that you can encounter here in Florida. And you don't have to go really far. Just a little bit further south, if I go out of like West Palm Beach, I'm out there in 5 miles, and it's anywhere from like 300 to 600 feet of water. So
yeah. So I want to ask you, so you're going out for your sailfish, right? You want this fish now. It seems like that's your gold fish right now. What do you got to do to go out for a fish like this? Because honestly, I don't know. What kind of bait do you use? Is it artificial? Is it real? Is it dead bait? Is it live bait?
Typically you can troll for them, but a lot of guys that troll, they'll have like a big spread out. And especially if you have a big boat, you can put a lot of lines in the water. And a lot of them sometimes are just teasers, which raise fish. And then, sometimes you can see a sailfish behind the lures, and then you have a bait that's like rigged and ready to go on the boat. And then you can pitch a bait back to them, like a live bait. Sometimes a dead bait that you could, troll, like kind of keep it trolling and moving right behind the teaser, and then entice the sailfish to eat it. Also, live bait is probably one of the best ways to catch them. And I have a small boat, like only a 24-foot Fishmaster center console. So for me, for live baiting, like my best option is put out like 1 or 2 lines, maybe 3 if there's another guy on board, and just kind of flat line, maybe with a little egg sinker, send one down like maybe 10 feet as you drift across, and then have the other baits on the surface. But if you're in a bigger boat that have, you have outriggers and stuff like that, then you can fish with kites. And basically, like a kite, you can send way up there, and a lot of times they attach balloons to them with helium, and then you can attach actually like sometimes up to 3 lines on one kite line, and then basically you hook your bait, and then it's kind of right at the surface swimming around, and the leader is out of the water generally. And that's a great way to effectively catch sailfish, and it's really cool to see them come up and eat it.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. I want to get back to the sailfish still. I want to talk about, and these fish, when you're hunting them, Rich, or when you're fishing them, the fish that you're probably going to catch, are these juveniles? Are these big fish? How long does it take for a fish to grow into an adult sailfish? Do they have, up to a certain weight? Or I don't know about these fish. Can you tell us a little bit about them?
I'm not I'm not 100% sure on their whole life cycle, but they don't get really big like their older, or like their bigger cousins, or billfish cousins like blue marlin or black marlin. But they get up to around like 90, 150 pounds.
Okay.
I believe like 100-pounder is kind of a good size one. I don't know how quick or how long it takes them to get to that size.
Got it.
I know mahi-mahi are one of the quickest fastest growing fish in the ocean. So
yeah, you just pulled that out of my mouth. I was going to mention that mahi-mahi are.
You look at mahi-mahi,
yeah. It's not like a blackfish where it takes, I don't know how many years for it to grow 20 inches. It's ridiculous. But I know.
You grow the beard as quick as a mahi? Like you grow it overnight?
Yeah, there you go. I know striped bass for their first 5 or 6 years, I think it's about 6 inches a year, and then it lessens up over the over the years.
Yeah.
The striped bass, that is. But still sticking to Florida where you fish. Now, I asked you a question earlier. Guys, now understand that Richie does a lot of his fishing in Florida, also up and down the East Coast. He's been to many places. If you've seen his videos, remember to go check out his page on YouTube. I push YouTube because he puts out the videos there. And he'll always give you a heads up on Instagram. That's Fishaholic Fishing on Instagram when a video does go up. His videos are, I'm going to say, pretty exciting and most of all, very, very informative. If you're going down to the Florida area and you're planning on doing a little surf fishing or even on a kayak or even getting on a boat and chartering, I would suggest just go check out a few of his videos because I guarantee it that you're going to gain some knowledge. Most of my knowledge that has come from Florida has come through his watching his videos. And I'll never forget the video with that shark that came up on your boat that time. What an excellent video that is. Yeah, do you know the title to that? Or maybe we can put that down at the bottom.
It was a little exaggerated, but it was,
no, it wasn't, Rich. That was a big fish. Big shark.
I think I called it Inches from Death.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
Check that out, guys. You guys
scary.
got to see that because, look, when you're sitting there and you're reeling in 20-inch, 25-inch fish, and all of a sudden a shark from 95 feet stretch comes out of nowhere. All right, I'm exaggerating. But a big shark comes out. Was it hammerhead, Rich?
No, it was a bull shark.
Bull shark. So it came out of nowhere just like that. And people don't realize, you see sharks in the ocean and they're swimming like this. But when they're on the prowl, or should I say the hunt, and they go after that fish, I mean, it's a seconds that fish is there. Not even points of a second. That's how fast. They're quick, Rich. And that's what happened to you. It rocked your boat. You were even in shock. I saw it.
I was soaked head to toe. When the tail hit the kayak and almost hit came close to my face, I got soaked in water. Yeah. There's another future prospect for you. You go to Disney World and I got this ride that's going to get them soaked. We'll call it the shark ride, It's a beautiful thing, cool. Man. Beautiful, beautiful thing. Also like to say hello to a few more people. Edwin Rivera. I know you're on your break down at the MTA. Let's not forget about our man in California. Honey, you know him. You want to introduce him? NorCal Cat. That's right. Orlando. How you doing? Nice to say hello. John Crianis, you should be receiving your products Monday or Tuesday. Striper Hunter, how you doing? And Oski, my man up in the, what river is that? That's the canal?
Who's that? Oski?
Oscar.
Oh, Cape Cod Canal.
There you go. I love to teach my wife, and this is how you teach them. You have them give you the correct answer. It's not really a test. I'm just forgetting with my old age. But other than that, let's go back to Rich again.
Mr. Mont was saying he fished
can you
a
put
bridge.
that up?
I can't.
You can't?
Can't figure that out.
Well, you can't. Are you kidding me? We spent 4 hours doing this. Is a husband-wife thing right now where you want to get really angry and say, "Oh, what the bleep?" But you can't because we're live right now. So I'm going to read it to you, Rich. It says, Mr. Mont says, fished a bridge in Monmouth County. Monmouth County. Sorry, honey. I'm sorry. 24 years. I'm sorry. Monmouth County overnight a few years ago. And it was into some decent bass. And all of a sudden, this guy to my left snags and gets into a beautiful bass. And that guy was Fishaholic. So you were fishing next to him that night, Rich, and he saw you.
That feels like a long time ago already, but that was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, your videos, I still watch. I still watch them on repeats. Watch his repeats on Montauk, guys. I'm not just telling you to watch them because you're going to have a nice time. It's not one of these videos where you hear Mr. Poseidon screaming at the top of his lungs and you want to shut it off. It's exciting and you're going to get knowledge, especially if you're going out to Montauk. And if you're going to need a guide, you know who to get. My man, Bill Wetzel, he's always out there ready. And give him a call. He'll give you a nice guide trip. He'll actually be surprised. But don't tell him that you watched Fishaholic's fishing videos and that's where you got your questions from. But anyhow, I'm kidding, guys.
Striper Hunt is saying, Rich's last video, the top water blow-ups were epic on the Yozuri Hydro Pencil. Great lure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's one of my favorites. For sure. I just got a new top water lure that I think will be even better. But
oh, yeah?
I forgot in the car. It's the Strike King Sexy Mega Dog. It's like a 6-inch spook that looks pretty good. Just got to swap the hooks out.
I'll tell you what, you can get them right now, swap them out. We'll do it as a giveaway, and I'll wait all night for you, Rich.
No,
I'm kidding, buddy. I'm kidding. I know I have a few of your lures that you came out with. I forgot the brand name on them. It was Night something or...
Dark Matter.
There you go, Dark Matter. Yeah, I have a few of your poppers, the medium-sized ones. I got into a few fish with that same popper with one of the subscribers who's out there right now, Edwin Rivera. I scored a few stripers with that popper. Nice, light popper and goodly
popper, Dark Matter Pulsar popper.
There you go. That's it. Yeah, good stuff. I caught some fish that night. Right. We have a couple of people writing about that video. Carrie Amaducci writes, such a scary video. Surfcaster Chris writes, that was a crazy video. That bull, and also Oski, the bull shark video was crazy. It was. That was a good video, man. When you get into death-defying stuff, that's what's going to grow you on YouTube. You want to take a chance, guys? Come on over every day.
Yeah.
You know, and I spoke to you also. We didn't get quite to it, but I spoke to you about crocodiles. Now, guys, I go to Florida once a year. I visit my in-laws there, and while I'm there, I like to go fishing. But these videos I've seen on YouTube, the guy with the puppy, I mean, the alligator was what, maybe 3.5 feet biggest, but he grabbed his puppy. He ran into the water. He opened the jaws of the crocodile or alligator and took the puppy out. I see stuff like that, and I get paranoid. And I'm thinking, even if a 4-foot shark gets into my leg and tightens up and starts spinning, it's going to take a good chunk out of my leg. At least that's the way I feel. So I asked Richie, how do you feel about the crocs or the alligators? Give them the full story. If it's alligators, if it's crocs down there, if it's both, let it rip, Rich.
Well, like I said earlier, to Mr. Poseidon and his wife, you kind of want to get skeezed out about them, but like they're so skittish. I haven't had any encounters yet where they've like territorially went at me. I've had some situations where in the Keys I ran into a American crocodile, and it was actually, I was so amazed how well that crocodile could just blend in with this environment, laying on top of the surface of the water. And they're lighter than an alligator. Alligators are darker, but crocodiles, they're lighter skinned. I don't know if they changed their color or not, but this one was really light, almost like a pale whitish green. And if you guys think about it, when you're looking across the water and you have that glare, it's white, right? And I was sitting low in the kayak, and I was filming one of my Keys Florida episodes, and I think it was during the Keys series. I was down there for 4 or 5 days camping and fishing, and I took the drone off to get some cool aerial shots and just see what other kind of fish were around me. There were some tarpon and snook, and I just kind of wanted to find them and see if I could get some cool shots. Getting them to eat my presentation and watching it from the air. And I fly the drone over 20 yards, or probably closer, probably more 10 yards or so. And I just see this crocodile sitting there on the right below the surface, and I had no idea he was there. Wow. And I kind of felt like he was curious, about what I was doing. So I don't know if it was stupid or a good thing, but I kind of pedaled at him to kind of scare him, and then he just freaked out and went away. So he didn't cause me any harm. And I was trying to find which video that was where I captured that. I think it was about a year ago. I called the video crazy how I caught this fish, exploring Key Largo, Florida Keys, episode 3. So.
Yeah, I remember you when you were telling me that, and now that you say it, you also added in that you actually pedaled a little for him. The rest of us probably, the rest of us, because we're not professional fishermen, we don't know alligators and crocodiles. We probably would have ran, and I wouldn't be here today. But you, I guess, did the right thing, and like you said, he probably hung out at the bottom there since he was already there, waited for you to leave, and probably came back up and went back to hanging out.
Oh yeah, exactly. And they're really not trying to like take on something that is the same size as them, or like when you're in your kayak. I mean, if you're in like a Hobie, like you're bigger than them, you know. I mean, don't take my word on it, because I haven't ran into like a 17 or 15-foot alligator or crocodile. I mean, I was thinking about it today, like because I saw like a couple of videos of those big saltwater crocodiles in Australia. And I feel like they would just they would just bite my kayak in half, those giant ones. I would probably run from those. But when they're smaller than you, I feel like they get intimidated, So
yeah, without a doubt. So let's move on over. And I know I was also talking to you. Go ahead, honey.
Antagonizer Lures asking, why did you decide to move to Florida? How did it come about?
Oh, well, yeah, I get that question a lot, and I was just ready for like a change of pace. I do love the Northeast, and I love striped bass fishing, of course, and surf fishing, and it's something that I always have done. And if any of you guys wondering like what my favorite species to catch, it's probably the striped bass out of like all the inshore species up and down the East Coast. But I just wanted to explore more. I'm still young. I'm 28, and I didn't want to be like a one-trick pony. I wanted to just expand my knowledge and kind of diversify a little bit. And it's awesome. I was only coming down to Florida in the winters, like for a couple months here and there.
I remember.
And now that I've been able to like live here, I'm learning like so much information that like you can't really learn unless you're doing it yourself, or unless like someone like that's a real like expert is like, oh, here, come to this spot this time and you throw this lure, like that's what you're gonna catch. But like I like to kind of learn all that stuff myself. So
yeah, without a doubt. Same thing here. About, learning your area, learning it very well, and then moving on, understanding the striped bass, understanding the full moons, the tides in those certain areas that you're fishing. If you get to know your area first, you're starting on the correct path to becoming an excellent hunter. And just like you right now, going to Florida, coming upon new species, I know from the time that you've been there and you've been fishing for these things, you've become pretty good. I remember you got your first, was a big snook. I think it was 47 inches. Was I right, Richie? You went, no, what was it?
No, I don't know when was the last time
you caught quite a few big ones since then, but I remember you were onshore surf fishing and you got it off the surf and you were just so excited that you got that fish. You might remember.
I mean, my biggest snook from the surf, I think, is like 37.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, but I've gotten like probably like 10 or so 40-inch to like 42-inch snook now.
Sure.
My biggest is like 40, little over 42. But like most of them are in my kayak, and then maybe I'll get out of the kayak just to like kind of like hold the fish in the water and then hold it up quick for a picture, like supporting the belly. And then I'll drop it back in the water. But like my goal is to get a 45-inch snook. Maybe if I'm really lucky one day, a 50-inch. My buddy Aaron, he has a channel, A-Ben's Fishing, and he does a lot of inshore fishing, like 90% of the time, 99% of the time really. And he just caught a 45-incher. So there's quite a few big fish around. And just a few days ago, I got another like 40.5-incher.
Yeah, nice.
But actually, I didn't reel it in. I put my dad on the spot, and for the longest time, my dad, his biggest snook was 37.
Right.
And I always it was my goal to try and like guide him on like his first 40-incher. And, we went out on the St. Lucie River, which I live right next to. And we were just,
Nice.
trolling around, and we're trolling like little crankbaits, the Yozuri crankbaits. And you swap out the hooks so they're, strong and can handle big fish. And that was the first fish of the day, just trolling around. And, he caught that 40.5-incher. So and he caught it on some really light tackle. Just the 7'6" Dark Matter Fishaholic inshore series spinning rod, which, by the way, that's medium fast, but with Dark Matter, we're coming out with a heavy action inshore Fishaholic rod soon. And then he caught it on a 4,000 Daiwa Tate. So like that kind of setup or combo is perfect for like any kind of like back bay type stuff all along or back bay or inshore, all up and down the whole East Coast.
Yeah, right. I have to tell you something, Rich, that, again, watching you over the years, starting out as a young kid, going to college, fishing for the striped bass for not just 1 year, many, many years, all the trekking you did all over Montauk, catching these fish. And now, me as a YouTuber, watching you expand into the East Coast, watching you go to Florida, you did everything so well, buddy. You would take your trips down there. You'd introduce a lot of the Northeast fishermen like myself to Florida. And that's why I told you earlier when I was going down there fishing, I knew what I was doing in the slightest only because I watched your videos. So when I went to tackle shops and I was asking for certain lures, it was what I learned on your videos because of you. And I know you're getting close, right? You're about at 197,000 right now. Am I correct?
Yeah, I believe so. On my analytics, it might be a little different.
Okay.
Sometimes it registers there quicker than what it shows on the actual channel.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm stoked, and I'm going to be giving away actually 2 Dark Matter psychedelic spinning rods.
Oh, nice.
When I hit 200,000 K, and then I also have like a Fisk Gear like polarized sunglasses set, which has
Very cool.
3 pairs of sunglasses in it that they sent to me. So
Wow.
so far I'm going to be giving away that as soon as I hit 200K. And all you have to do is be subscribed, and most likely like then you'll know when I post the giveaway video, and then I'll probably be like, comment down below, subscribe, like the video, and boom, that's how you enter to win. And then I'll pick 3 winners.
Sure.
Wow.
Again, I want to mention, I watched you from the beginning. I know you went to college and you majored in.
I majored in entrepreneurism, and
That's right.
Minored in science, and I took a lot of like business administration classes.
Correct.
And I had like the extra like entrepreneurial classes, which kind of taught me on how to like start a business, and I took like an extra law class as well, so that you kind of know like the legality of a lot of
course,
how to start like different businesses and stuff.
Nice.
And right now I'm actually in the process of kind of making like an umbrella company, and then having the YouTube charters I'm going to start doing down here, and then I'm going to start like another lure company on this, like on the side, that I just kind of want to do 100% on my own. And I want to come out with some different type tackle, and being like an official business, because right now like I've kind of just been operating as like a sole proprietor or like an independent contractor if I'm working with companies and stuff like that. So I really just want to kind of scale up a little bit, and I think it's time. So
yeah, I see that over the years, like I said, how you grown. I don't want to call it a business because I know you love to do, fishing. It's your passion, exactly. And, like I watch you start, I like to follow you. I don't like to rush anything. Even though I'm getting, I'm not the youngest guy in the world at 23 years old, but I'm getting up there slowly, and I'm trying to keep up. And I'm telling you that, I use a lot of your videos to, express my way of how I'm going to do my videos, but I follow your sketch, let's call it. And, I think you're very smart in what you're doing. You're doing it in the right way. And I know that you do care about your subscribers. The knowledge that you just throw out there is probably more than any other videos I saw. Look, There's guys out there with 1 million subscribers, and I'm not saying that they suck or anything like that. I think those guys are great. They got to 1 million subscribers because they know what they're doing. But Rich is in another box. You know, he went to college, marketing, business, so he knows what he's doing exactly. For anybody out there, I would say, if you're even thinking of starting a YouTube channel, go back to his first video and start there and just watch all the videos slowly, because it is a learning process. If you know what you're looking for, like I knew what I was looking for. I said, this guy, you know, Bruce Bain he's seen you a few times fishing. I know that's the president of the Narragansett Surf Club. And I know Bruce Bain said, oh, yeah, I used to see him when he was going to school back then. And he was doing his videos, and he was a youngster. But you have progressed, my brother. The East Coast is all yours. And I would ask, and not ask, but I would tell anybody out there who's listening right now, listen to me carefully. Follow this guy's videos. He's up and down the East Coast. He knows what he's doing. He's not just going out throwing a worm on a hook like I do. But that's, yeah, go ahead, Richie. Go ahead. Maybe you want to give him
more than that. And I just wanted to say, like, you know, if you have a passion for something, even if it's not fishing, you can make it into something, you know, in today's world. Like, you know, we just have to put a lot of hard work into it. And because of technology, like what we're using right now, it's, you know, you can make it happen. I never thought it was going to be anything when I was in college. I wasn't doing it to make money or anything. I was just doing it because I loved it. That's all. And I'm still kind of learning new stuff every day. Trying to grow what I'm doing. And yeah, that's about it.
Rich, I have to also say that, yes, you're right, that you love what you do, and it wasn't all about just the money, but that's how it starts with everybody, including myself. But if we want to make this our true passion and really put your full time, and when I mean full time is you don't have another job. I have another job. You've got to really put your full, when you can get to that point, like the point you're at right now, be out there fishing all the time, you're only going to get better. And I couldn't understand why you don't have 500,000 subscribers, because you do know what you're doing. You put in your hardcore work, and you're still doing it. I see you pumping out the videos, man. If it's not 2, it's not 3. Sometimes we get lucky and it's 4. But you pump out the videos, brother. You know what you're doing.
Yeah, I try my best. I mean, I was a little slack. I was slacking a little bit this week. I think I only got up 1 this week, but you know, if I only got 1 up this week, maybe I could do 2 or 3 next week. And you know, I try not to over stress about it, because sometimes you just got to sit there and be like, you know what, like you got to go at a comfortable pace, and just because if you start turning it into a job, it actually can make it not so fun. So you got to have fun with it still, you know?
Yep, without a doubt. You got to have fun with it. I remember,
seriously,
really quick, it's going off the fishing category here, but I love photography. I grew up taking pictures. I loved it. I started a business with my wife, a wedding photography business, and you guys could see me. I'm an energetic guy, so it was always good. When I got my brain tumor, we decided to give that up. It went from 2 jobs back to 1 job. And that's when I had decided, let me put my full energy into fishing. But you know, fishing is a beautiful thing, guys. And if you ever think of getting to the YouTube stage, especially to where we're at today, where there's, I don't know how many new fishermen starting YouTube channels on a consistent basis. But if you want to know, you follow the best. I consider Rich Fishaholic one of the best out there. Please follow him. Yes, honey, tell me.
What you were going to say was that after a while, the photography, you didn't want to do any more photography personally.
Yes.
It became a job.
It became Rich. This is what I love about you, is that you took your job and you made it your love. Why? Because it really is your true passion. That's when the best of the best come out. You know, like myself, I love what I do here. I love that I bring people like you on the show so other people can see you live. You know, right now it's happening. But like my wife said, when I started the business of the wedding business with the photography, whenever we went away on vacation, I'm like, no, I don't want to take my camera. And she was shocked. But this is why when you have a true passion, getting back to you, like you have, that's it, brother. Then you got it all because you're consistently doing it and you haven't stopped. And if you keep going at this pace, at the age you're at, you are going to be the forever living legend, without a doubt, brother. So I got a question up for you right now. It's coming from Surfcasting Chris. It's up on the board right now. Everybody can see it. I have a question for Rich. When surf casting for the southern predator fish, snook, redfish, does he fish like he would for stripers, or does each species require their own fishing techniques, Rich?
It is very similar, and you know, I know a lot of guys down here target them at night, just like you can target stripers up in the Northeast at night. And darters, bottle plugs work great. Big swim baits, bucktails are like up north we use bucktails. Down here they use a different kind called, you know, flare hawk. I've caught snook on regular bucktails that I've brought down, and I was like, you know what, I'm not gonna spend the money for a flare hawk and just throw them out, and they still catch fish. You know, it's really just being at the right place at the right time. You know, especially if you're fishing at night. Daytime surf fishing down here can be a little more challenging because I'll be honest, I think snook are definitely smarter than redfish and striped bass. I think striped bass are a little smarter than redfish, and they're just so much more aggressive. And like I was telling Mr. Poseidon a little earlier, what kind of gets complicated sometimes is snook, like they'll be selective on like the size of the bait. Like if you throw out, say, a 4-inch mullet right in front of them, and it's like, say, a 30+ inch fish, 30 to 40-inch fish, like sometimes they'll eat it, sometimes they'll just swim by it, and they won't even like turn their head. But then you catch a really big mullet, like 10 or 12 inches, and you throw it at them, and they hit it like first time, like the same fish. Like I've had it many times, seeing the same fish like swimming around. And where I feel like striped bass wouldn't be that picky, redfish, usually they're not that picky, but I have, you know, run into some that are like that. And also like striped bass, like if you're a surf fisherman that fishes with a lot of bait from the surf, typically you're going to use clams or sandworms, you know, probably chunk, like throw a bunker chunk out there. And for redfish that works, but for like snook, not so much. Like there are guys that'll get them on like chunk dead mullet and stuff, but like they really like prefer like a live bait, you know, whereas like the redfish and stripers you can kind of use dead or alive, and then I feel like you're also sometimes better off you know, just fishing with lures and covering a lot of water and getting on them and catching fish.
Right.
And also Florida tends to have really clear water, especially if there hasn't been a lot of rain or like if it's not hurricane season and there's not a lot of nasty weather. You can get them on artificials, but it's harder like throughout the day because the water's so clear. But now I experienced the mullet run for the first time, like the full swing of the mullet run this past fall. And I know some buddies that they got on some like pretty epic fishing, but for me, I kind of stayed in like the Port St. Lucie inlet area to the Fort Pierce inlet like area.
Right.
And I saw some like crazy feeding action with like big sharks flying out of the water, like, you know, triple digit tarpon jumping out of the water, and like, you know, thousands of jack crevalle and like lots of snook. But like the amount of mullet was just ridiculous. I'm talking like millions and millions of mullet that were like 3-4 inches that you could walk on. And it wasn't really like there wasn't a whole lot of catching. Like I caught a lot of like small bluefish, small jack crevalle. I think I had a couple decent snook, but like nothing over like 30 inches. I had one tarpon that like bumped my swim bait, or maybe I bumped him. I couldn't really tell. And then I caught a couple sharks on a swim bait, which that was actually kind of fun. But like, you know, I'm sure a lot of you guys watching, if you're from the Northeast, you've gotten on, say, like a striped bass and bluefish blitz, also with like the, you know, false albacore in the mix. Like you're definitely going to get on a lot hotter action in like that kind of bite than in a mullet run situation. But I'm also still like a novice at it, and also there's probably other areas that I could have went to, and the bite could have been a lot better. Maybe there would have been more predator fish than bait, and I feel like that's just like kind of the right scenario that you need to like do well. But when you have millions and millions of mullet and say only like 50 or 100 fish, like, and they're not even like they're not like selecting one bait really to eat. They're just like a tarpon's mouth is like this big, or even a big snook. They're just going in trying to like suck in as many baits as they can all at once,
Right.
So,
I have to say, I'm going to bring this back about 10 minutes when you mentioned it. I waited till you were done, Richie, because I love to hear everything you have to say. But you mentioned earlier striped bass, redfish, and snook. I don't know if you want to add tarpon to that, but who's the smartest fish out of the species, and how do you know that?
well, I kind of just how I went over it when I talked about the snook and how they can be like so selective, even with a live fresh bait wiggling around in front of them. They just won't eat it. And I've even like gotten on like big schools of snook, maybe not too big, maybe like 20, 30 fish.
Right.
And they're all big, like 35 inches to like 40 inches. And there's this one spot that I fish a little south of Sebastian and a little north of Vero. And these fish are always there, like on the Indian River, like near these islands that are out there.
So
and
cool.
Like I fished there many, many times to try and figure it out. And like one thing that I thought always would kind of work and get me a bite or two was fishing a topwater, like right after sunrise or around first light. And then you'd get a couple bigger bites. But like I was always kind of bummed about that because you maybe get one bite, and if you lose it, like that's it. Like they're spooked and they're done.
Huh.
But I also would try then fishing with bait all day long, and like many times have I gone there and like you can't even get them to like sniff a bait, and I would drop down to like 40-pound fluoro, which is kind of like the lightest that I really want to go, because they have really sharp abrasive mouths and razor sharp gill plates, unlike striped bass. Like a striped bass, like say you hook hook them on a live bait or an artificial, you could probably just unhook them, throw them back, and if he wasn't around any kind of rocks or anything, you just make another cast. But with snook, one thing that's a hindrance is like you always want to retie, because like they'll fray up your line, and even if the line is still strong, they can also just leave like an abrasive mark on it, and then it's not as clear. It has like a fuzzy whiteness to it. Then you won't get bites from them or from any other fish. But back to this other spot, the one day I was there, and I was like, you know what, I've got to drop down to 30-pound fluoro, and it was crazy like how quick it made a difference. Where I'm using 40, right, and I tried that for like 2-3 hours. Got one fish to like look at my bait. I caught a bluefish, which I was kind of bummed about.
Yeah.
And I dropped to 30 and like instantly got hit. And I don't like to go that light, especially in this one area, because they're close to the mangroves. And if any of you guys have fished in Florida, you got a big fish that goes to the mangroves. Like it's like a big striper going around like a big rock. They can easily
or a lobster pod.
They can rub you on a barnacle, the razor sharp oysters.
Forget it.
Sometimes in that situation, when they go deep in the mangroves, that you just open the bail and let them swim, and then you kind of you follow them in there, and then you try and hope that they don't get off the hook or break you off. But
right.
I jumped to 30. I got a 40 incher, and then put on another mullet, threw it in there, and then like got a 39 incher like instantly.
Sweet.
And it just was amazing to see how like selective with or like line shy that they can be, and then also like with the size of the bait in other locations, like you throw a 3-4 inch mullet in there, fresh bait, looks so good. Like if you did that with a striped bass, it'd be gone in like 2 seconds. Say through like a live bunker, that's like 4 or 5 inches at a slot size striper, or even a big one.
Oh yeah.
If they're hungry, they're going to eat it. They're not going to pass it up and say, "Oh, I'll get the next one." But
right on.
A a snook will do that, and they'll just wait for
Wow.
that bigger bite,
Rich.
and you throw a 10-incher in there, and boom,
Yep.
they hit it. So,
I have to interrupt you just for a second because I want to remind the subscribers. Guys, I hope you're listening to what he's saying and you're not just waiting for my giveaway. You're going to get it at the end of the show. It's a great giveaway. I'll show you it in a second. But what I'm trying to say is that the most important thing that I think he said, because I've lost fish like this. And how did I lose fish? Not checking my gear correctly. When I saw my line get slack and then it hooked up on those tiny little, you know what a tiny little barnacle can do? A 1-inch rub on it. A 1-inch rub is going to fray that line. And that little frayed line on a 50-pound bass or even a 40 or 30-pound bass, say bye-bye to it, because when it frays your line, it's not the same strength. It probably reduces it to half, if not more. So now you're not having a 50-pound braid. You're having a 20, 25-pound braid as far as strength goes. So you have to be very careful, and I'm going to get back to what he's saying. You got to check everything all the time. You got to. I'm taking it from me because it's happened. I went to Massachusetts last year. 2 fish I lost because I was lazy, because I said, I'm not going to catch that 40-pound fish on that next fish. I had a 40-pound fish on there. I couldn't turn the head because I was so delicate with it. And when I finally tried to turn the head, because it was getting close to the lobster pods that were there, they're not dumb fish. Richie told you, striped bass are very smart fish. I'm not saying that they're going to sit there and figure out a math example for you. Please don't think like that. Then I know you got a low score on your SAT. But other than that, you want to make sure that you don't allow them to get around that rock. And when you don't want to allow them, you got to make sure that your gear is primed 100%. So when you want to pull a little extra tighter, you know that gear is going to hold up for you. Not like Mr. Poseidon, where I watched it go on that barnacle, maybe an inch, and I was like, it's all right. It's all right. No, it wasn't all right, because on that next cast, I lost the fish, and that's where it broke, where the barnacle had it out. I figured it out. It was very simple. These things are very important. When you're using lines and they're on, how can I say it? So you can understand it better. But if you're using a line and it's tied up to your, what do you call it, Rich? My mind is shot right now.
Barrel swivel?
Yeah,
barrel
like
swivel?
a barrel swivel. The barrel swivel, okay, could rub up on the rock as the striped bass is fighting you. Not the line. The line didn't get touched. But now, because the barrel swivel rubbed up on that line in that loop where where your line is going through it, where the leader wire is going through it, now it's rubbing, because as that fish is fighting, it's rubbing back and forth. And where that thing rubbed up on the rock, it got sharp, and constant rubbing. And I've had that happen to me, where it snapped because I didn't change the barrel swivel, or the swivel itself. And I was like, wow, I lost the fish. I've learned over time that the gear is the most important thing, because all of us out there want that big fish. And if you let that little thing go, or that 1-inch rub on a, what do we call it again? The little barnacles, a 1-inch rub on a barnacle, you're done. So keep that gear 100%, because if you're serious about catching that 50-pound fish, you're going to get it, but your gear has to be prime all the time. Back to you, Rich. That was a long one. Sorry. But.
No worries. I was pretty much about done, but they're all smart, these fish. They know how to get away, when
Sure.
they're hooked. And but I would say, in terms of smartness, if you're talking about, there's a bug in here. Sorry.
That's all right.
I would say it'd probably be snook, tarpon, probably striped bass, and then redfish. But it all depends. Redfish, I've seen them literally, I've gotten on a hot bite out of Charleston. You just put a hunk of crab, a hunk of blue claw on a big jig head.
Right.
Kind of like you're going for tautog or blackfish. And you'd think that it wouldn't work, but they just wolf it down, and they almost swallow a jig head. You got to hit them after the first bite. You feel the tap, and it's you got to get them right away or they're going to swallow it.
Right.
But you can't, you can catch tarpon on chunks, dead bait. Like some guys chunk mullet and they get tarpon, but that's still different. You use a long leader. You kind of hide the hook in the bait, and you send it out there, and you put it in a rod holder and you wait. In terms of artificial fishing, I think like to get them to eat, hook them, and land them. Snook and tarpon are probably the hardest out of those four. Yeah.
I have Turtle Cove Tackle here. I put up the question on the screen. I know you guys have been watching it for a while, but we have so much to talk about on the show. It's going to be a 9-hour show tonight, so sit back and get ready. It says,
I got to get a snack.
Yeah, I hear you, Rich. Are the hardcore surf casters using 10 and 11-foot rods? Band stalls, bogas on their waist, question mark. Is that their gear of choices, like a typical Montauk scene? So he's talking Florida versus Montauk. Is that gear still what they're using? 10 and 11 rods, Van Stalls, bogas?
Yeah, bogas are still very popular down here. I have two that I use down here. But like you don't really weigh a whole lot of fish down here. I mean, I'll use them to like say grab a snook or a smaller size tarpon. If it's a real big tarpon, you got to use two hands just to grab their lip. In terms of tackle, I would say a lot more guys probably use like 9 to 10 foot rods. 11 foot, if you're like out there casting like big plugs at night, that can be tiring, and then
Right
say you're
here.
hooking into a
Right
triple
here.
digit tarpon, and sometimes you don't even really need to cast that far. Like if you go down to the Florida Keys and you're fishing at night and you're fishing by like a bridge or something, the structure is right in front of you, so you don't really need to cast that far.
Right,
And
right.
yeah, I'm going to go down probably to the Keys this month and try and get on some big Silver Kings.
Nice.
At night, see if I can
Nice.
turn a few of them and get them in my hands.
I know. I've watched you do the so many fish on all your videos from, I think they're called silver sharks, the ones that jump out and they spin in the air.
No, they're spinner sharks.
Spinner sharks. There you go. Yeah, Rich. I watched those. Obviously, I've watched you come across some nice tarpon in areas that you would never think. I remember you stopped at a bridge one time, some local, you had gone on vacation, said go over there, and you did hook up on a couple of nice little tarpons there. Tarpons are great.
I think it's St. Martin. So, St. Martin, I think that was in. I got to go back there. That's a really cool place to fish. And it was actually on a cruise ship. So it was a cruise ship to Bermuda, and then I think St. Martin, Puerto Rico,
Right.
And then like Haiti. Haiti, the fishing wasn't great.
Really?
Puerto Rico, it has great fishing, but I didn't really get to take advantage of all of it. But Bermuda and St. Martin was pretty cool.
Is that where you would typically go for your sailfish? Is that in that area, Rich?
No, that's way away from Florida. Like, luckily about Florida here, you only have to go out like a couple miles, 5 miles, 10 miles out.
Wow.
From shore, and the water, drops off, real deep, real quick, and that's why Florida is amazing for getting into some pelagic action without having to spend a lot of fuel to get out there and get them.
That's awesome. Last year we went out with Captain Phil Peak. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's in the Fort Myers. He got me on to Hermit. Let me tell you, Rich, I was shocked when I was down there, and that was the first time I said to myself, man, I'm getting a boat when I come down here. Because
Hermit are an awesome fish, and usually you get them on crabs.
Yes, crabs.
I was lucky I think I caught two nice sized ones this past summer.
Right.
Had 3 on, but I lost the one of them, and like you have to use light line because they can be line shy.
Yes.
And like I was using some pretty light tackle and just like a little bottom sweeper jig, which now is it's very popular up north for like tautog and porgies. I think John Skinner maybe has a jig like it. He has like a porgy jig. Those work as well, but you hook on a live like peeler crab, and then you send them out there, let them kind of swim around, and those permit, they love that and they jump right on them. And I fought
Right.
the 2 permit that I fought them for like over 10 minutes just to get them near the boat and to get them in the net,
Yeah,
So,
Mario Gandini's asking, Rich, can you tell us about your testing process with your rod? What are you looking for in that rod? Any examples that that don't get your stamp of approval, and reason why?
well, that's a tough question. I mean, I guess if I'm using like small artificials, say 1/8 ounce to maybe like 3/4 of an ounce, I'm looking for something with a good backbone and more of a sensitive tip. So that's what it would probably be, like medium fast action,
Mm-hmm.
something like that. Even up to maybe 1 ounce or so. And in my personal preference is something like 7 to like 7 foot 6 inches. I'm a huge fan. Like 8 inch or 8 foot can be a little much for an inshore rod. So like 7 foot to 7 foot 6, and I think with a 7 foot 6 you might get a little extra distance. Especially if you're using like lighter braid. If you're using like 10 or 15 pound braid instead of like 20 or 25. And also, the lighter the braid, the more sensitivity you'll be able to feel through that sensitive tip for some of the lighter lures that you'll fish. And a lot of guys don't know this. If you buy, 10-pound braid, 15-pound braid, like a rule of thumb is actually like this, the strength is double of what it's actually labeled on there.
Right.
So like 10-pound, 15-pound braid is actually more like, 20 and 30. It's it's strong stuff, but you gotta be consistent with checking your line. If there's any kind of phrase on it, or down here, because I'm fishing around a lot of like oysters and barnacles, every single time I go out, I retie all my knots, or I try to.
Right.
Sometimes I've been lazy, and then if I feel like big fish know when you're not ready or you haven't retied, because
Isn't
that's
that
just
the
when
truth?
the big one hits,
Yeah.
and then you lose them. And then I usually stop recording, and then I'll, say a few not so nice words, and then I'll be like, God, I have to get this going again and retie. and I tell myself, I'm like, I was being stupid. I'm lazy. You can't do that.
Yeah, you can't do that.
No, you gotta just stay consistent. But other than that, so if you're looking for something a little bit heavier, then if we're talking about inshore, like I'll probably look for like something like 7 foot 6 to 8 foot. That if it's going to be like inshore in the kayak, I want a shorter butt on it so it doesn't like kind of flop around in the kayak.
Right.
If I'm going to be surf fishing with it, like Back Bay, type deal, like Raritan Bay, Narragansett Bay, Jamaica Bay, all those good areas. Or if you're like down south, the Indian River, Charleston Harbor in Carolinas, I want a longer butt, and I'm probably going to be looking for something like medium fast as well. Medium fast to heavy. If I'm in the kayak, I'd rather have something heavy so I could cast, plugs from like 1 ounce, or lures from 1 ounce to probably like 2.5, 3. If I'm from the surf, then I'll probably be looking for something I can cast like 1/2 ounce to like 1.5 ounce. And, then if we start talking about going for bigger fish and casting a lot heavier stuff, I'll probably be looking for like a 9 to 10 foot rod. That, if it's surf fishing, has a longer butt so I can put it in my groin. I want the reel, comfortably like right in front of my, like in between, like, I guess in between my, in the middle of my torso, I guess.
Sure.
I found that to be the most comfortable.
Got it.
And I like, you can get rods of that length that are medium fast that say you can cast like 1/2 to 2 ounces. That would of course be like a Back Bay early season spot when you're throwing smaller lures. But if you're going for bigger fish, then, you're going to want to find something that's heavy action, probably like, 1 to 6 ounces, 7 ounces. So.
Right. Yeah, I hear that.
Yeah. I hope that answers the question. It's really tough to answer that all in one, one shot.
Yeah, I hear that, Richie.
My best, but it's easier if I was doing like a seminar. I could write everything down or have a bunch of like rod options in front of me, and then you can come up and kind of see what fits you,
Yeah, no doubt, Richie. I know when you used to fish Montauk, I think your favorite rod was a 9-footer, and it broke on you in one of the videos I saw. You
Yeah,
used
that was a St. Croix Triumph, and that was like a 9-foot, like medium fast action or medium moderate fast action, same thing. And great rod. I mean, that rod saw so much abuse, and it broke on the cast. Like it
Yeah, I
was,
remember.
and I caught a lot of fish on that rod. And there was actually a very nice subscriber that sent me a new one just because he wanted to send me a rod, and he's a really nice guy. And then I believe I warranted that one, and then St. Croix sent me the other one, or I don't think they warranted it. Maybe I paid like $40, and then I got, because it was just the top half, so it was a 2-piece rod, so it broke right above the connection there. And I think I still have those 2 rods to this day. I haven't used them in a bit though. Here in Florida, like except for like the mullet run season, which is like more in the fall, you do more surf fishing around that time. And then once we get closer to spring, like March, I'll probably hit the surf again, because then you have an opportunity at like Big Jack for ball. But like right now in the winter, like it's mostly either offshore in the boat, or I'm sticking inshore, like and doing like tidal rivers, back bay kind of stuff. And I'm in the kayak, maybe wade fishing, that kind of stuff. So I'm not using 9-10-foot surf rods right now. So.
Yeah, I hear that, Rich. I remember those days. I remember when you broke your rod on that video. How upset you were. You were upset on that video, because I know how many fish you caught on that rod. Would you recommend people use a 9, 10, or 11? Because the way I put it is, what's your fishing experience? If they're not the biggest experienced fishermen, I always go for the shorter rod. And then again, we can say to ourselves a million times, a striped bass can be 10 feet from our positioning on the surf, but we always want to get the biggest rod. We always want to cast it out the farthest. But I think the 9-footer for starters is really an amazing rod. No matter what rod you're going to invest in, I think a 9-foot rod is nice to.
If you're gonna get a 9-foot like medium fast action surf rod, like that's a good place to start, especially if you're just thinking about getting into surf fishing and you don't have an arsenal yet. Say you're coming from bass fishing and you're trying to get into saltwater surf fishing, like that would probably be a good start, because then you could throw a lot of smaller lures in the spring. Look what Elantra has. That rod being rated up to 2 ounce, I forget, which you kind of can cover a little bit of everything with that. But you might feel a little outgunned if you start, really getting into it. You're fishing a lot at night and you're getting into big fish. I mean, you can get into big fish during the day too, so the same deal. Then, if you really find that passion for it and you want to like up the game, then that's where you go for a heavier action rod. Either, I mean, you can get a heavier action 9-foot or 10-foot, 11-foot. From my experience, casting around 11-foot rod or even longer. I mean, some guys I've seen use like 12-foot rods, but it's a lot to haul around, like to haul that lure out there. It's a lot to deal with. Like you might, in the end of the day, your shoulders might be hurting, or your body will just get tired quicker, and then you won't be able to be out there as long. You want to just call it a day. I've sometimes spent like 6 hours, 7 hours on the same rock, waiting for like just hopefully the tide to get right, just to get the right bite. And maybe you get a couple fish, or maybe you get none. It's that's part of the game.
Yeah, without a doubt, Richie, that is part of the game. I've always liked my bigger rods. I'm a 10 and 11-foot guy. I do have a 9-foot rod also, but I love my 10 and 11-foot rods. As a small guy, 5'7". Let me tell you guys something right now. I can crank a rod out there. I have no problem with that. But again, you have to know where you're fishing. You have to know where those fish are going to be. So if you do need that little extra, you do have that rod with you. But then again, if you need a little less, you just put a little less into the effort to get those fish. But before we get back to Rich, I want to show everybody what we have for tonight. We have the Done this 12,000. That's the CI4. Beautiful reel if you're going to be using it to start off your surf fishing session in the rivers this year. Remember, guys, striped bass are a migrating fish. They're one of the few migrating fish in the world. They're a great fish to hunt. It's a great time. I believe in catch and release. I hope you do also. But this reel right here is the Thunners 12,000. It also is a bait runner. You guys know that. You hit the switch back here. And when you're ready, just click it back or turn the handle to engage the drag again. But Dynamite Reel, I also own the same one. That'll be given away at the end of the show tonight. We're getting close to the end right now. That's why I wanted to bring this up. Make sure you have your comment on last week's live stream, which was with Bill Wetzel. You can leave a comment on there. I know you guys already have, and that'll be picking today. Excuse me, today's.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine, honey. Thanks. But that'll be picking today. So other than that, Rich, do you have anything you want to finish this up with? I don't care if it's long. I don't care if it's short. I like hearing what you have to say, Rich. I'm a big believer in you after so many years.
Here's the question, Mike Kish.
Yeah.
Does Rich plan on coming
If you have
back to
any questions,
Montauk?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It says, Rich, plan on coming back to Montauk anytime in the near future. That's coming from Mike Kish.
Okay. Well, hey, Mike, and yeah, no, I am always constantly thinking if I can make it back up there for like another full season. I did get up there for I think only 9 days this past summer, and it was short, but I fished every day. I did make a lot of videos. If you missed them, they're up on the channel. I think I made like 7 videos or something like that from those 9 days, and I really want to get up to Maine this coming summer. I'm hoping to get up there like maybe for a month or so,
Right.
and do a lot of fishing up there because I feel like it's really untouched and not a whole lot of filming has been out of there.
I haven't really.
I want to go up there and explore and make some cool content for you guys. So
Yeah, that would be nice. I went up there last year, Rich. I went up in the Saco area, and I have to tell you that their season there is not that long. It's only a couple of weeks over there. And I remember going up there. I met a few guys. I missed it by 1 week, Rich, that week. And the coolest thing I found about that whole situation is in the daytime when I was doing my my scouting, I realized that up there, the tide changes there are 10 feet in certain areas, if not more. It was incredible. I found the deep spot during the daytime. I went and fished there at night, and that's when I scored the striper up there. And I'm glad I did because I went all the way to Maine hoping to catch a striper, and I did, and it is a beautiful area. Wait till you get there, Rich. Absolutely gorgeous up there. I had a wonderful time up there, and I dealt with Red Hook Tackle Shop. What was that, honey? Do you remember it?
No, I don't remember.
Yeah, I dealt with they're the only ones up there, but they were
I don't remember.
dynamite guy. They hooked me up there, and I did catch my first striper up in Maine last year as I went all over the East Coast, from Jersey all the way up. The only state I missed was New Hampshire, and I remember when I was going by, they have such a short coastline. I almost did it, but I didn't stop. I kept going to Maine. And beautiful place up there to visit. The stories I heard from surf fishermen that live up there, great stories, just as we have up here, starting all the way up from Maine down to Florida.
Here's a question, Wormway. When is the Wonder Bread signature dark matter rod
It's coming out.
I don't know about that one.
We don't know about that one, no.
No, I don't. We're not coming out with a Wonder Bread rod. That'd be kind of funny though.
Yeah, I remember Wonder Bread was one of your favorite in Montauk. I remember you took that.
Yeah, that was the shad, the swim bait. Yeah, the Fishaholic finback. Works great for stripers and all the other colors as well. And right now it's just the next rod that's coming out is the Dark Matter 7-foot heavy action inshore spinning rod. If you go to the channel and watch some of my last recent videos, it's like a light green rod, so it's going to be a little bit different color, different look to it. And yeah, we're kind of finishing that up now. I'm hoping by the end of this month it'll be available. And it seems like quite a few people have been, messaging me about it, so they're interested. So it's cool. I'm excited to see it, do some work out there, by everyone who picks it up. So
excellent. Cool. I know that you have always good products. So whatever you put out there, I believe in you, and no doubt about it. You are an excellent fisherman. You're an excellent fisherman, Richie, without a doubt. No doubt about it. I've always believed in that from my first video to watching you fishing with, what's that, Sea Monkey out there in Jersey and all those runs. He's still around. I see him once in a round popping up, but not like
I think he lives up in New England now.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Thank you. Hyper for Striper has a question.
Yeah,
thanks for the super chat. Rich, what's your favorite region to fish along the East Coast?
That's a nice question.
Oh, favorite. That's a tough one.
A lot of nice spots. Huh?
Yeah. I mean, I would say if we're talking about I might have to split it up into three. If we're talking about stripers, I really love the New England area there, especially the Rhode Island coast. It's a beautiful area. I haven't surf fished Maine though, so that probably will take that, once I get up there. The Carolinas, if you're going for redfish, like South Carolina, that area.
Yeah.
Kind of like Charleston to Beaufort. And then for Florida, probably where I'm at right now, the Stuart, Florida area to Sebastian. Yeah, it's pretty killer fish.
I hear that. I want to fish for redfish one day. I hear Maryland is a good spot to catch these fish. Am I right, Rich? Is that off the shore or a better chance on the boat?
I think Maryland, Delaware, I believe that they get some amazing red fishing in late spring, summer, and the fall, early fall. You can catch some really big ones there.
Right.
Especially on the, the Cross Bay or the Bay Bridge Tunnel, I think, something like that.
There you go.
I fished there in this past spring a little bit, and there were some reds I heard that were around, but I didn't get any. I got on a flounder bite, so I caught a few flounder, which was cool.
And I have to admit, that was cool, but the video that you had with the flounder, I think it might have been fluke, I'm not sure. I think it was in Montauk, how they were just coming up to the surface. But you remember that?
That was 3-4 years ago. It's a very rare thing, but when there's a lot of bait and a lot of flounder, they'll blitz. They'll blitz like any other kind of fish, and it's crazy. You see them flying out of the water like frisbees.
It's amazing, man, amazing.
That video I think is still up on the channel. It's crazy. It was something, and it happened for a week straight. Every day they were flying fluke.
I'd like to also say hyper for Striper. Thank you very much for that donation, guys. We live on donations here. That's the only way we're making money. Other than that, I'm losing everything from fish to money, but I'm keeping this channel going. It's a beautiful thing. So just to let you guys know, that's how we survive right now. So other than that.
John Francisconi asking, Rich, have you fished with Bama Beach Bum lately?
Bama Beach Bum lately.
Bama Beach Bum?
No, I haven't. Yeah, Matt. That's Matt. He's a good guy. I'm hoping to get out there towards the Panhandle, kind of where he lives, and I believe he's opening a tackle shop or something with some of the other content creators out there.
Right.
And yeah, I'd love to get out there and fish with them and make some cool stuff.
Sure. And also, I want to bring up again. I know that you do make your trips back to the Northeast, Montauk. Usually you're going to be there for the Caucus tournament or for the Striper Cup tournament. Am I correct, Rich?
I could try to be there for that, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm flexible.
I'm also going to have my tournament the third week. That's when all the big competitions are done. I don't have the selectability, and I'm very respectful amongst my peers that are ahead of me. So I'm still going to have my challenge. That'll be the third week. I know I missed you last year. You were down there earlier, but you weren't staying that long. I missed you by a few days. Maybe this year we'll catch you. We'll see what happens. It's still a ways away. On April 29th, I will be hosting my second annual Mr. Poseidon Challenge on Piermont, New York. It's basically you bring a bloodworm, bring a nice mustache, number 5 hook on. Make sure it's a circle hook, guys. You know the laws. And you get to compete against other striped bass fishermen. Last year, I know, was won by a gentleman by the name of Rick Hernandez. He won with a 33.5-inch fish that day. It was a great time that day. There were fish around, but nothing above 33.5 inches due to Rick Hernandez winning that competition that day. Rich, anything else? Any final say you have to say tonight, other than you're hungry? Any other final thing you want to say tonight?
Well, yeah, I just want to say thanks to everyone for tuning in and for the great questions. And,
Awesome.
if you have any more questions, you can definitely just shoot me a DM on Instagram. Or,
Absolutely. Tell them how to reach you exactly, Rich, on YouTube and Instagram.
Yeah.
What's that?
Tell them how to reach you exactly on YouTube and Instagram.
Well, YouTube, I'm always constantly checking the comments. I do try to get to all of them if I can, but I mean, the best way is probably Instagram. You shoot me a DM and I take a look at most of them, and it's probably the best way. I'm usually on Instagram every day, so I'll try to get back to you there.
Also, we got a question coming in from Carrie Amaducci. Seems like she's a female, and it says, "Hey, Richard, do you have plans to visit Brazil again for fishing?" KKK. 4Ks, not 3Ks, guys. 4Ks.
Yeah, that's actually my girlfriend, and
I figured that. That's why I brought it up. Thanks, Carrie, for that. We appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I want to go back to Brazil. It's an amazing place, and there's actually some really good snook fishing there.
Nice.
I really want to go back to maybe get like an arapaima or a dorado. Some of those crazy fish species. I think there's also like the taita, and then there's another one that I think is called like a wolffish, or a vampire fish that has like the big
yes,
like that. I wish I had pictures to show you guys. But those are all species that, like me, as like a little like fish nerdy kid, I would go to sleep like reading like the fishing encyclopedia, and I would like research about them. I was growing up. I was a super fish nerd. So still am.
And you know what gets me the most is women. I love women. They're great people. I'm married to one for 24 years. But boy, do they know how to get that answer out of you on a live show. When are we going to Brazil again? I got my family waiting there for you.
Yeah.
But I love it.
Well, she's here in the States now. But
okay.
Yeah, so she's here for a while, and then I'm trying to turn her into like my co-host / camera woman, and
nice.
We'll make some more cool content. I think especially with her help, it'll be good. Really,
absolutely.
Cool.
Listen,
she speaks Portuguese. So if I'm in Brazil alone, I'll get lost.
Perfect.
I'll never be back.
And I just want to say that I don't know any fisherman who started a YouTube channel and then didn't incorporate his girlfriend in there and double his subscription. So, Carrie, do the right thing here, please. We're all waiting for you to see you on there. I'm trying to help you here, Rich.
He did just catch her biggest snook the same day my dad got his 40.5 incher.
Oh, nice. She got
her nearly 28-inch snook. It was like a little shy, but
sweet.
So I've been taking her out a lot, and it's been a lot of lessons, to get her to build her confidence and stuff like that. So
I can understand the teaching part, Rich, because it took me 7 years on the bunny slope. Listen to me carefully. I'm going to repeat this again.
Skiing.
7 years because I wanted my wife to ski with me. This is what I did. I fished and I skied. So I says, listen, you got to at least do the beginner slope from the top so we can cruise down. And she was like, okay. And after all those lessons, I remember there was an instructor once I hooked her up with. Good-looking instructor, young guy. I'm like, look, I hooked you up with this guy. You're going to have a good time. Next thing you know, I'm coming down the mountain, and I stop at the end, and there's the instructor. The instructor that I hooked up my wife with. He's sitting there, and he's looking up the hill. And I stopped right by him, and I was like, dude, what's up? Where's my wife? And he goes to me, you want to know where your wife is? And I go, no, I got scared. I was like, yeah. He goes, look up the hill. So I turn around and I look up the hill, and I see on the side of the slope with my wife, the skis over her shoulder, and I see this. And I was like, what are you doing? What happened? But I understood my wife. So 7 years, I stood on the bunny slopes.
Very funny.
And no, it wasn't funny. That was not funny. Never do a 7-year venture with your girlfriend or your wife on the bunny slopes. You will not get by the second year. I have a lot of patience, unfortunately. But anyway.
Unfortunately.
So in the end, we ended up doing medium courses with my wife together. She knew how to ski. It was great. But remember, 7 years of torture on the bunny slope. Get up! I don't want to hear the crying. Get on the back of it.
We're not doing that with fishing.
We're not doing that with fishing anyway. We tried that once. It looked like an Elaine dance, catching a fish, if you know Seinfeld. But anyway, other than that, yeah, my wife is great. She does everything with me, and she's the backbone to this live stream here also, Rich. So it's nice if you can get your girlfriend incorporated. It's a big help to get somebody to take pictures of you or even videos of you while you're catching. I know you know what I'm talking about. It's really great.
Yeah.
And good luck to you and your venture and this whole thing. But before we leave, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Rich.
Thanks everyone for watching. It's always a blast coming on your show.
Thank you, Rich. I so much appreciate that. Before you go, we're going to give away this reel right here. Here we go.
You want to hang out a little bit, Rich?
You want to hang out, Rich? Maybe about 30 more seconds. Don't worry, you'll be in that bite in no time, Rich. I'm talking about the real bite food. But I love that pillow behind you. I know you showed me earlier.
Wait.
Tarpon pillow.
Is that just a pillow you could pick up anywhere, or does somebody make that you want to?
This is it's like embroidered by I don't know, this company called Tide Hill or something. Tide Hill Outfitters or something. You can just look them up on Google. I don't work with them in any way, but my buddy had like a similar one, and I went on their site and I found one that I liked and I bought it, and I was like, I had to have it. I think they have a bunch of striped bass ones, lobster ones, all that kind of stuff.
There you go. You heard it live right here. Fishaholic and this company.
Find something you like.
What's their name? The company again, Rich?
I think Tide Hill.
Tide Hill. So
Nice.
Tide Hill, if you're listening and you're on the Poseidon show because you want to be a better surf fisherman, my suggestion is send another 10 sets over so this guy can get your product out there and people can see it. But thanks to Rich. No doubt. All right, let's do that raffle now, or the spin, honey. Okay. Let's go to that site, spin it up, and spin it up, and here we go. And there it goes, and the winner is...
Boom. Makeup and sunsets.
Woo, you got to put it up on the board so people could see it, honey, so they don't think we're just making up names. There you go. Is that it? That's it. Makeup Sunsets, you win. I know that's Mike Parrick's girlfriend. Mike Parrick was a part.
Look, Makeup and Sunsets. She's there.
She's there. There she is. That would have been my next question. You got to be on the show to get it. Congratulations to you. Mike, you have a partner with you. I am sorry I did this to you, but it's not my problem. It's your problem. You deal with your girlfriend fishing with you, all right?
Oh, my God.
I know my friend Fishaholic here, he deals with her. She caught a 28 snook. You don't hear him complaining, do you, Mike? Anyway, I'm just kidding, guys. Thank you, everybody, for attending the show. I had a wonderful time being here with Rich, a very knowledgeable fisherman, up and down the East Coast. We heard it all today.
Nice.
Rich, thank you again so much. Any final says, Rich?
Like I always say, live to fish, fish to live.
Attaboy, buddy.
Next episode.
Just what I wanted to hear. Thank you so much, Rich. God bless, and we'll get you on here again real soon so we can finally hear the story about the 47-inch snook. Finally, you know?
All right.
Thank you, buddy.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Rich.
everybody.
Good night.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
da 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 da